So we've heard many speakers from morning, and they have left us with a lot of questions. Now, amidst all of this, there's been one question that has been hounding mankind for centuries and millennia. It's a question that has puzzled many civilizations the world over, including the Indian civilization for over 7,000, 8,000 years ago. Definitely it has been puzzling them. It's a kind of mother of all questions, one of the most sublime questions. How did the universe begin? How did we come into existence? This is a question that man has been chasing from millennia and continues to chase even today. So we are going back in time, where time starts once again. So our clock has been reset and we are going to be starting. We're going back in time to when creation started. And my husband, my dear husband, D.K. Hari here, he'll be helping me with navigating through this. And we go here. Today, we all know, we are being taught in our schools today, how the universe starts with a big bang. The universe came into being with the Big Bang. This idea of the Big Bang was first postulated by a Roman Catholic priest, Belgian Roman Catholic priest, A.B. Georges Lemaitre, who spoke about a cosmic egg, and from which came the Big Bang, and the entire universe spewed out of this Big Bang. Now, if you look at Indian thought, if you go back to Indian texts, you find that there is a similar concept that has been discussed there, that of a Hiranyagarbha, and which bursts open, and this bursting open is called a Brahmanda Visfotak. And from this emerged Mandakini, or the galaxies. Now this concept or the thought of a Hiranyagarbha has been beautifully explained in the Vedic texts by a Rishi, Veda Rishi, Prajapati Parameshti, in a sukta which is called the Nasadiya Sukta, and there have been many other suktas as well by other Rishi. And here he talks about this Hiranyagarbha. The meaning is Hiranya, meaning golden hued, and Garbha is a womb. So 7,000 years ago itself, 4,500 BCE, 5,000 BCE itself, we had Rishi who were talking about a Hiranyagarbha which burst open, and from there came the universe. The Sukta talks about the question, it is a very, very profound question. It says there was neither ought nor not, there was no air nor sky, and what covered it all? Where was everything? There was nothing. But still, how did we get this universe? Who can answer this question? Who can give us this answer? Who has seen this? Did God also exist then? Who can tell us the answer to this question? So, like most of the Indian texts, it starts sowing the seed of a question first, and then starts explaining the answer. And the answers that he explains are, he says that there is a Hiranyagarbha which is pulsating. It is oscillating between two forces. And he gives them names. He calls one Indra. He calls another Vritra. Indra, a force which is exerting, and Vritra, a force which is holding back. And when these two forces are continuously pulsating, at one point, Indra overcomes Vritra, and the whole Hiranyagarbha bursts open, and we get the universe. Now, if you go back again to modern science, what you find is you find this thing about a stiff neutron soup. At the time of the Big Bang, they talk about a stiff neutron soup-like condition, which is infinitely small, from which the whole universe starts. It's at very high degrees of temperature, and from this starts the whole universe. Now coming back again to Indian thought, we will be oscillating like the Hiranyagarbha back between modern science and traditional Indian thought. Now in the Hiranyagarbha, they talk again, the Vedic text, they talk about a state. They have given this a name, and we know it by the name of God called Narayana. We use this name very often. You have to go back, for all Indian texts, you have to go back to what does the word mean. Now if you look at the word Narayana, it means Naraha means waters, and Ayana is resting in. So this is a state where you're talking about waters which are at rest. Cosmic waters that are at rest, a very quiescent, calm condition, very similar to the stiff neutron soup from where start all the reactions. And it is from these cosmic waters as well that you find that our texts talk about Lakshmi emerging. Now, Lakshmi here for us stands for all material wealth. So everything that is material has emerged from these primeval waters is what our texts are talking about, and which is very similar to the entire universe coming from the stiff neutron soup. This state of the waters which are at rest, it says, in legendary form, to make it easy for people to understand, has been depicted as a state where you have Padmanabha, Padma meaning lotus, Nabha is navel. So from the center of these waters emerge a stem, and with Brahma in the lotus. The Brahma here, the word again, Bra means to expand. And so here we are talking about a state of the universe where the primeval waters have given rise to an expanding universe which continues to expand. And that is what has been denoted by Brahma coming out from Padmanabha. And the sound that emanates, the Om sound that emanates, it is the sound that emanates with this Big Bang, which is not actually the sound that you really hear. There are various stages of the sound, again, which has been described. Now, this particular wave that comes out, the radiation that comes out, today in modern parlance is called the cosmic microwave background radiation, CMB. And we have given it a name called Om, which continues to permeate through the cosmos, right through from then till now, and continues to permeate even today. It is called the breath of vibration of existence, the first breath of creation. And this has been associated with the Hindu religion as a symbol. However, if you really go back, what it is talking about is the very first moments of creation and the first thing that emerges out of creation. Even the material world hasn't manifested, but this is the first creation, process of creation. There are two questions which continue to hound even modern scientists today, which are continuously being debated in forums today. One, is the universe expanding? Is it static or is it contracting? And there is yet another question, what happens before the Big Bang? Why does the Big Bang start? We will look at some of the answers to these from the Indian texts. See, we say that this Narayana, the state of waters, is usually, it's shown depicted, as Narayana lying supine on Adi Sesha, which is a snake. Now again, you go back to the word Adi Sesha. Split it as Adi and Sesha. All of you know what the meaning of Sesha is. It is remaining. In Indian language, almost many of the Indian languages, Sesha means remaining, balance, and Adi is what is at the beginning. So the balance, what that is at the beginning, is Adi Sesha. So it takes you to a state where you say that there is some balance at the point when the beginning starts. And that is Adi Sesha. And from there on, we also talk about a concept called Pralaya. Because as per Indian texts again, there is a concept, there is a state called Pralaya where the whole universe contracts into something infinitesimally small. And this small, which is the remnant or the balance, has what has been called as the Adi Sesha. So to summarize, if you really see today, we are all under the, we are today following science where we look at it from a very linear perspective. We say there has been a Big Bang, galaxies have evolved, and the universe is expanding. There are many theories now evolving as to whether it will continue to just keep on expanding and fade away, or will it at one point start contracting. What is going to happen is being debated. But look at the Indian thought. It is a very cyclical thought. It starts with Hiranyagarbha, from where you have the Brahmanda Visfotak. Then from there, you move on to the Mandakini, which come into being. The universe expands with Brahma, and then you have the Pralaya. From there, you get back into Adi Sesha, which forms the seed for the next cycle of creation. So the Indian thought has always looked at creation as a very cyclical process. And that's perhaps a new perspective that, if we start following, maybe that might give us better leads into really getting an answer to this most hounding question of all mankind. One of the most famous physicists of present times, Sir Roger Penrose, has got this to say. He says that the big final stage may also be the initial stage. So modern science, some of the experts are slowly coming into this view as well. Let's look at the second question, which is again another interesting question. In fact, this was the question which got us propelled into kind of collating all the knowledge of, collating the knowledge for this capsule called creation. We came across a question that was put forth to Professor Stephen Hawking, what existed before the Big Bang, to which he reportedly had answered, it is a meaningless question. Now at that time we felt the question was very, a good question. The answer was also good given whatever facts that were published in modern science. But that was an inspiration for us to really chase this particular knowledge from the Indian text, because if they are so old and if so much of thought has gone into it, what does this text have to say about it? And the whole knowledge base about creation came about from our pursuit on this question. Look at Narayana lying supine on Adisesha. This Adisesha is shown, one, in the form of a snake. Very interesting. Why a snake? If you look at it, we are talking about the universe expanding and then contracting. Then again expanding, then contracting. What does a snake do? What is a snake symbolic for? It coils and then recoils back. It coils, uncoils again. So it lengthens and contracts. It's like an elastic. So that's one of the reasons why a snake has been used to symbolize the entire concept of creation. You may now ask, why 5 heads for Adisesha then? Normally a snake has only 1 head. Why 5 heads? Can anybody here tell us what is the Indian word for the universe? Somebody who is awake? Brahmanda, yes. Another word? Brahmanda, yes, because it is an expanding universe. Srishti, yes. Srishti is create. The other word is prapancha. You've come across the word, heard the word? Prapancha. Now what is that? It says pancha is 5 and pra means special. It is something special. So the special 5, the primordial 5, the primeval 5. Now what are these primeval 5? They are the 5 elements of nature, the 5 primordial elements from which this whole universe has been created. Now there are various schools of thought which talk about 4 elements and not 5. But then because of the word prapancha, we can say for sure it is 5 elements, and they being Akasha, Vayu, Tejas, Apaha, Prithvi, namely space, wind, air, fire, water and earth. Now these 5 elements, they can also be perceived by our 5 senses. It's such a beautiful integrated thought and integrated science. You can perceive space because of the sound that permeates through space. The sound of Om, which goes through space. You can feel wind, which is Vayu, through the sense of touch. So you have both Shabda and Sparsha in Vayu. You go down to fire, you can start seeing the fire. You feel fire, you can also hear the crackle of fire. You go down to water, you can hear water, you can feel water, you can see water, you can also taste water. Then you look at the 5th element, which is earth, Prithvi. You can feel, hear, you can feel it, you can see it, you taste it, and you can also smell it. You get a beautiful odor when it rains. So these same 5 fundamental characteristics. So when they say it's made up of 5 primordial elements, it's not 5 forms of element, but there are 5 characteristics, or the 5 guna, which you can also feel through your senses. And there are various texts which talk about the process of creation starting with these 5 elements, and the process is called Panchikaranam. And this has been, if you look at it, it's a very stage-by-stage evolution from Akasha to, which is very subtle, to earth, the heaviest form, which you can really see and feel, which is a total gross form. So you're talking about a stage of evolution from subtle to gross. And that is the fundamental difference between the approach to science. If you see today's science, we approach it from the gross, whereas the ancient thought has grappled with it at the level of subtleness, and which is where we find the gap today. And we feel if we can cross that particular gap, I'm sure you will find a number of ideas that can help you move forward in solving a number of mysteries of the world today. And the concept of these 5 subtle characteristics, which combine to take from subtle to gross, is called Panchikaranam, where they talk descriptively about the various guna and how they were all mixed, and then how they start interacting with one another, with various percentages as well described, to give you the 5 final forms of primeval matter. So there was Akasha. Each one had their own basic characteristic and the characteristic of all the others, which is why today, even today, they say, if you look at water, it also has some amount of heat energy. All the different energies are present in each and every form of matter as well. So that brings us to one fundamental question then, the next mother of all questions. If ancient thought has given so much of thought to all these matters, such cutting-edge questions, and they have also given some explanations, should we really be spending our times going through these formal education, go through all this torture of colleges, engineering colleges? Do we have to spend so much of millions of dollars on experiments? Why should we go through all this? Can we just leave it? Why don't we just go and sit sit and meditate alone? That again, there is an answer. There is a text called the Ishavasya Upanishad again, which says very clearly that following just the subtle sciences or spiritual sciences alone, or following just the gross sciences alone, will only lead into further blinding darkness. Universe is actually a blend of both the seen and the unseen, the subtle and the gross. And it's only when you see it through both these eyes will you really see the correct picture, will you really see the light. And that is the complete universe. So if you are really looking to solve the mysteries of the universe, you really have to start looking through both the glasses, and that's perhaps when we can find answers quickly to some of the questions that have been hounding mankind. Now, this is just one of the topics which we have been researching in Bharat Gyan. We have come across, over our 10-year search for the knowledge of India, we have compiled such kind of intriguing knowledge on various other aspects. And being the theme where, you share ideas at TED, we really thought this is a forum where we can post this to all of you, all you youngsters, in the hope that this will perhaps act as a catalyst and trigger some thought and, take you to the, you never know, maybe a few TEDs down the line, you might be standing here, making a presentation, answering the question of all mankind. Thank you very much.
Happy to take them. Questions? If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Alternatively, you could email to us, and we have our content on this. Thank you so much.